I said it before and I will most definitely say it again, man. The biggest change that I encountered when I came home from prison was the people. It was the mentality of the individuals that I came in contact with. And probably one of the biggest changes to me because there was an expectation in my mind that when I came home from prison, it would be a little bit more calmer, a little bit more chill, a little bit more relaxed, especially coming out of a situation where I'd spent time on level 4 yards, level 3 yards, but I quickly learned upon coming home that that couldn't have been any further from the truth. When I came home from incarceration after 16 years, 11 months, what I returned to was a society of individuals, and rightfully so, that seemed to be more agitated, full of anxiety. And I can only imagine because I had came home and watched the news for 2 or 3 days and was gone. I was enamored. I didn't know or understand to the magnitude how many different issues were going on in the world because prison shelters you. We only get a certain amount of channels, to be honest with you. And we did get a news channel here and there, but still, there's nothing like actually being in society. And now, fast forward, I'm home now and I'm talking to my brothers when they call and I'm telling them, trying to prepare them for freedom and what they may, should possibly expect when they come home. And I don't necessarily know how to do that. I can prepare them through my words. I can tell them about this situation, that situation, what may occur here, what may occur there, XYZ. But until they're actually out here living it, they won't know. That's the truth of the matter. And anybody that's got a loved one that's incarcerated, getting ready to come home or just came home, and you're trying to figure it out because something seems off, they seem impacted, that's because they're adjusting to all the changes that are occurring. The things that we probably accept as being normal now, I've been home almost 6 years, are very abnormal to people that are coming out of prison. I had to adjust. I went through a period where I had to decompress and transition into just learning how to live free. One of the major obstacles for me was I simply did not live free for 17 years. It's very abnormal. Yes, I get it. Prison is a punishment, but as I'll continue to say, there was no rehabilitation as part of the process offered for me or individuals behind those walls. There was a watered down version of it. It was no good. It was almost like a kindergarten type program, and you only get it at 6 months prior to you going home. If you've been behind the wall for 20 years, do you think 6 months prior to you going home being exposed to some programming that is not facilitated by individuals that know what you've been through is going to be impactful at all? Because that's what was going on. That's what was going on. And yeah, I get it. In some cases, it works. In some cases, there's programs, there's things that will work in that situation for an individual coming home from prison, but in a lot of cases, there is not, man. Not. The individual on the inside has to choose that he wants to be rehabilitated. The individual has to choose that they're fed up with the inside of what's going on. The individual has to choose and say to themselves, I'm done. You know what I'm saying? Until the individual makes the decision for themselves, it doesn't matter how many programs, what the environment's like, none of that, because we see countless individuals going back over and over and over again. It's a very real part, a very unfortunate part of existence for a certain group of people or percentage of people. Somebody recently asked me about K Flock. If you don't know who K Flock is, he's a younger rapper. I'm not gonna sit here and lie to you and tell you I know any of his songs. I don't. 42. I do listen to some of the younger music every now and then, not to keep up. Some of it's actually good, whatever, even though I'm getting old. He is somebody I did not really have any knowledge of, but I started to dive into his case because here is the example or another case of a young rapper who, from what I see, was given the opportunities to get out the hood, make a whole lot of money, probably put his team on, but for some reason he couldn't let go of the streets. And we see this not just in the young rappers, we're seeing it in the older rappers getting in trouble. We're seeing some of the older rappers come home after 17 years, and what we see is it's a cycle, a vicious cycle repeating itself. What happened years ago as Max B was going in for 17 years and coming out, K Flock is now going in for 30. I heard a quote one day, and they said every time a bed is emptied in prison, it's filled back up again. And I hope that's not true, but that's what it reminded me of in that situation. And the simple fact that too many of us have an opportunity to get up out the hood. We get opportunities, but we don't know how to let go of people, places, or things that could pull us back. If we're talking about the industry and the rap game, somebody that, that's down here in Atlanta, that's very familiar, that case, it was a big thing, was Takeoff, who lost his life at a dice game early in the mornings. You know what I'm saying? Early in the morning, he out there shooting dice. He a millionaire. But he outside the club with his brother, his cousin. I forgot the relation between him and Quavo or whatever. And he's in this environment that he shouldn't be. And from all accounts, he wasn't even the guy that wanted to be there. He was always the guy that played the background. He was just there because his man was there. And his man got exchanging words with the crowd, and now he's no longer here. You have to be mindful of the people, places, and things that you put yourself in 2026. You have to be mindful of the people, places, and things that you expose yourself to going forward, especially if you're coming home from incarceration, man. Very serious. And if you're the one out your hood, off the block, whatever it is, out your family, the one that made it, the one that has an opportunity to legitimately keep going forward, to make a way for you and your people, it is extreme. It's even more imperative that you check yourself, that you govern yourself, that you move in such a way that the opportunity that you have does not get squandered. Because what happens now is he's gone for 30 years. I don't think anybody else in his immediate circle or family can take his place and keep things going as far as the money he was generating. And no, it's not about money. It's deeper than that. But at the same time, come on, man. A lot of people are struggling financially, which is leading them down the wrong paths. And it's not just crime, it's other bad paths, right? And if you're the one that can help free your people from going that way, you got to stay free, man. You got to move in such a way that, I don't care what y'all got going on. You tripping. I'm the one that made it out. I'm trying to make sure the rest of us can go. I got to keep going this way so I can open more doors for y'all. But you got to have enough heart to do that. So when I look at K-Flock's situation, I look at it like many people, young or old. They have a situation, they have an opportunity, and they squander it. They don't fully understand what it takes to protect it. They don't fully understand what they actually have. They don't understand the value of it. Because if you did any of those three things, you wouldn't be out there in the streets playing. You wouldn't do it. Even when I look at the Diddy situation, that's a totally different thing, I guess. But he got found guilty. He got caught up in some mess. Here's the moral of the story. The higher the climb, right, the greater the fall. The higher the climb, the more you got to be on point. When I think about climbing a mountain physically, those first couple feet off the ground, I'm not really tripping. If I fall, I'll land on my feet. But the higher I go, I'm on point. I'm making sure I got all the hook, ropes, and everything that I need because I don't want to fall. You understand what I'm saying? So if you're climbing, if you're the one fighting to get up out of there for don't stop going back to the hood, man. And if you do, say hi to your grandmas or whatever it is, but get up out of there. There's no need to be on the block. There's nothing going on there. Nothing. And by the way, laws are changing. Pay attention to the laws, at least if you're still going to be out there in the streets, because I tell you, I'm not the one to tell you what to do. I'm just here to tell you what's going to happen if you go this way and what you should do if you continue to go that way. And you should at least know the laws, man, because a lot of stuff going on. And I don't think that young man expected to get hit by a RICO, but I don't know, because that's a whole nother level of criminal enterprise. It's a whole nother level of charges you facing. Those RICOs are very serious. Somebody said this, and I remember not just him. I was talking about Max B. He's just coming home now. Pooh Shiesty, he just came home. I'm hoping the individuals keep going forward. There's a movement right now where individuals are saying F the streets. And there's actually people mad that these rappers are saying F the streets, which is crazy to me. Like, isn't this what we've been wanting for the longest? But of course, it's people that's still in the streets that saying, nah, we ain't gonna say F the streets. They're not saying F the people that's in the streets. They're not saying they don't love their people. They're saying, I can't keep going down this road right here because the streets are gonna lead me to one or two places. And these are millionaires, by the way, that are saying F the streets, as they should. If you got $1 million, I don't care. If you don't have to have $1 million. If you just got common sense, get out the street. If you got a chance to make it out, or you fighting for a chance, you don't need to be out there. So how much more should an individual that's got M's or feeding all making sure people okay shouldn't be in the streets and saying F that? And good for them because they setting an example for once that could be led. I hope they don't turn into hypocrites. I hope they stay with it. But at least they're putting it out there. Now the pressure comes because the opposition is saying no. But we're going to see if they hold true. That's what we're going to see. I wholeheartedly believe the programs need to be revamped, by the way, to go back. I know I got ADHD over there, man. Somebody expressly one time said that we should rehabilitate ourselves on our own dime in prison. Let me tell you the issue with that. When you're locked up in prison, you're taken away from the opportunity to work. You no longer have resources. You no longer have the opportunity to provide the opportunities that you need in order to rehabilitate. And here's the biggest thing. Many of us don't know how to rehabilitate, right? Now, the ones that do, we do on our own. And it doesn't really cost a dime. But I should say this. Taxpayers' money is getting spent anyways. The program should be worth something. And on top of that, regardless if you feel like, you know what I'm saying? Regardless if you feel like somebody should get a second chance in prison, the majority are coming home, and you should want everyone coming home rehabilitated. Because people move back into communities, towns, cities, etc., near us, by us, near you, by you, etc. You should want them better and not worse. You should want them in a position to succeed and not fail. You should want them in a position where they ain't looking at your car and what you might got in your house, etc., etc., right? And instead on their way to a job. It doesn't matter if you don't agree with they in prison, they don't deserve running water. Are you like, okay, but do you know the impact that's going to have on the individual that's coming home to society? I did a post recently about the water conditions and somebody said good. Really? This was on a level 1. Everybody's coming home. They're more damaged than healed. And nobody can ever stand up across from me, I don't care what side of the thing they on, and say to me that people shouldn't be rehabilitated. You want them. But instead, what's happening, a lot of the prisons, not all, there's some prisons that offer rehabilitation. There's some decent wardens out there that's really caring about the people and trying. Believe that. But the majority, they are producing monsters. They are damaging people more. And then we wonder what's wrong with our system. We wonder why certain things keep occurring. Well, let's have some accountability when it comes to our system as a whole and really ask ourselves, is our prison system actually rehabilitating people? Is it? People will say, I don't know. I don't necessarily know if he needs it. Somebody asked me recently also, how do I feel about inmates, prisoners as I call them, having tablets and iPods and stuff like that? I think that every single prisoner in the system and jail, prison system, state should be issued a tablet to where they can call their family, FaceTime, even if you got to approve the individuals on. I think that there should be a certain level of access to technology so people can rehabilitate, right? Like the same way they do blockers and stuff on the internet for people like parental guidance and stuff, right? I'm a father. I don't have to worry about that yet. He's a newborn, but when the time comes, I'll probably put his stuff on PG-13. I don't know. You could do something similar like that in prison, I'm thinking, where you can make sure guys don't have access to certain things, but if it's an educational website, if it's something with some type of self-care, if it's motivational videos, I think we should have access to that for the guys on the inside as well. And I also think it would cut down on a lot of things. I think it would cut down on anxiety. I think it would help rehabilitation. I think it would cut down on anger, depression, sadness, grief, the things that people experience when they can't communicate with their loved ones. I think it would cut down the desire for people to go to physical visits, which I think people need to go to physical visits. But one of the issues in a lot of prisons is overpopulation, overcrowding in the visitation rooms. I think this will offset it because if I'm talking FaceTime with my people 5-6 times a week, I might not be pressed to see them in person every single weekend. I see pros on both sides for security and prisoners. You know what I'm saying? I see some cons, but the cons don't outweigh the pros for me because the phones on the wall are major issues in most prisons. regardless if the guy's got phones or not. The phones on the wall, one of the biggest trick ups and traps in the history of the penitentiary, hands down. Like, that's a place you kind of want to avoid to the best of your ability if you can. And a lot of us, we got to call home. But there's some people that haven't called home because they can't. So this is it's so many different things, right? Even safety, man. Somebody's in there, something bad happened. Hey, they can jump on their tablet, call their people, hopefully get some assistance, support, help. I think all in all, and no, I'm not one of them prisoners, ex-prisoners that thinks everybody should be in there running wild, like just doing what. No, I don't, because I see the results of that in certain prison systems when I travel there or the state I live in. I see the results of what happens when it's pure chaos in there. We need checks and balances in prison because too many people. Clark Kent. Thank you, man. I really appreciate that. Here's the thing. All in all, at the end of the day, right? I need you to understand this. It's a very serious thing when it comes to our rehabilitation. That's why I keep getting up here and being a voice. That's why I keep coming up here and telling the stories. That's why I keep coming up here, and I want to be somebody that shines a light on the situation. Here to help, here to be a voice for my brothers and sisters that are still behind, all juveniles included. And when you guys got questions, please bring them. I definitely want y'all to do that. I want you to put them in the chat. I want you to start bringing whatever information. Clark Kent, I am, sir. I don't. It's unique, but at the end of the day, I need us to understand the seriousness of this. I need us also to understand that when people come home from prison, they can heal. So if you're somebody that came home and you feel off, I need you to know that it's okay, part of the process, but you can bounce back. It takes work. You got to advocate for yourself. You got to seek out programs. You got to muster up enough courage to put that foot in front of the other and go find what you need and let the people know exactly what you need so you can heal. You know what I'm saying? Like, you need to be able to find your freedom again, because the truth of the matter is you deserve it. You've lived inside of a prison for XYZ. You've paid your debt to society now that you're free. If you don't have probation, if you got probation, you're still paying the debt, etc. But you still deserve an opportunity to live your life. So I want to encourage each and every one of you that's been impacted by incarceration, if you've done time and you still feel confined, because some of us walk out of prison physically, but mentally we're still there. I want to encourage y'all to come home. I want to encourage y'all to stay free. I want to encourage you in knowing that it may not be easy, but it's worth it, that there will be ups and downs no matter what. There's no happily ever after, but it is a beautiful life when you work on you. You get the help that you need. You get your mental health right, because then when the obstacles come, you're good. You are good. You can deal with them and keep going. The issue is we don't get the help we need, and when the obstacles come, it causes us to implode, and we go right back again, because it causes a series of chain reactions that lead us down certain negative paths that lead us back to the places and spaces that we once were. It's serious. So again, man, going into 2026, my word is stay free. The call to action, and I know y'all can do it. It takes strategy, it takes accountability, but it also takes you understanding your value and knowing that you're priceless, and you're not the sum of the mistakes that you made. You're the sum of the decisions that you made. You're not the sum of the bad decisions you made if you've made more good decisions in this life. I know individuals that are good men, but for 30 seconds because of an emotion, right? Because of a reaction, because of something that they're struggling with, they made a bad decision, something bad occurred, and now they're on the inside. But if the whole rest of their life, outside of those 30 seconds, they were good, what type of man is that? It's the question that I ask and the question I pose several times. And typically, unless individuals in denial, they'll say, oh, this is an individual. He's probably a good dude, but he did do this. I'll take that. That's the part we want to work on. Rehabilitation comes when we help individuals process trauma. That's what happens. A lot of us, we don't even talk about the trauma, the things we went through as children, which probably led us to prison. And a lot of us don't talk about the trauma that we experienced or were witnessing, etc., while we're in prison. That's why when we come home, we're still stuck in that trauma. We're still stuck in fight or flight. We're still reacting and responding based off that trauma. We haven't let go of it. We haven't processed out of it. So again, man, I want to encourage y'all to get help. If you need it, you can get better. You can heal. Life is beautiful. I promise you, it takes work, but man, it's worth it, man. So again, 2026 is a few days away. We're getting ready to move into that, man. And I know y'all got it, because we got to get it together, man. You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, just keep going and stay free.